we go. Nice to have you back. Folks, just incidentally, for those of you that have just joined us and watching Cape Rugby TV, take a look behind me here. You'll see the Score energy drink on the Club Rugby jerseys out there. So if you're watching Cape Rugby TV, this is one of the unique things that we do, is we offer our clubs the opportunity to send us their jerseys. You see the jerseys behind me there? These are clubs that have got sponsors at community level, and these sponsors involved with the clubs, and then the clubs can give us their jerseys. So look at that. Cyril Tech involved with Unimil. We've got Boerland Mark involved with Busy Bees. Motivaps involved with False Bay. This is all exposure that we give to the clubs, and that the clubs are able to then sell onto the sponsors to make sure that the sponsors look after the clubs. You know this picture, Morgan. You were here when we started it.
Yeah, 100%, James. I think it's a fantastic element of sort of, it's not, it's easy, but it's also hard for clubs to really add value to the sponsors.
Yep.
And so this is one of the easiest ways, is to get their brand on TV. Other ways, I mean, you can market around the field on match days, and we can unpack, how best to leverage your sponsorship. But for the most part, telling your sponsor you're going to be on TV every Wednesday night between 9 and 10 is already a step in the right direction.
Yeah, Ali, I mean, I'm sure, I know CPT, you guys would agree, same thing. You guys have to think about, especially with Varsity Cup, you've got to think about the brand and how you're going to give exposure, and are they singing the right songs? And
yeah, no, same thing. Fortunate for us is like our varsity tournament is televised. But for clubs, this is ideal. Ideal opportunity for them. It's free.
All right, folks. Well, of course, Durbell was up against UCT. This we always knew was going to be a big game. Let's take a look. Durbell, UCT. Durbell's at the top of the log, and UCT is regaining their momentum. There we go, another try there. Halftime score, Durbell 14 and UCT 26. So UCT certainly look like they're bringing the heat in the first half, Morgan.
Yeah, UCT starting like a house on fire. I mean, the confidence is sky high at UCT, so not surprised. But Durbell at home, with a harsh talking to at halftime, they turned things around pretty well, I think.
But Alistair, we were all saying this for a long time, that you couldn't do again. UCT and Marty's had the same picture. Last year, you had to make sure at a certain time of the season that you were in the top 6 or close to the top 6. You couldn't come from position number 8 or 9, and UCT looked like they have avoided that call it little time frame.
Yeah,
and they've got their wheels back from Varsity Cup. Maybe the first 1 or 2 games was a little bit wobbly, but they're in it now.
Yeah, and I think it comes with, while the Varsity Cup was on, the club guys were still playing.
Yeah.
And when the Varsity, carrying that momentum with the Varsity Cup players now into the league and getting the transition right, you know, is a testament to where they are on the league, on the log line.
All right, folks, well, let's go back to that then, UCT and Durbell. Let's see what's happening. $33 all, Durbell UCT. All right, this kind of does. This is what we spoke about last week, Morgan Newman, is that Durbell was at the top of the pile. UCT was getting stronger. I know we didn't say it was a derby match, but we knew that this was kind of going to be a clash of the Titans.
Yeah, two very, very good sides. Durbell, I mean, we've seen their results from the beginning of the season. They're really producing some good rugby. And then UCT, of course, coming off the back of Varsity Cup, etc., are always going to be a tough side to beat. And I think if we look at the Super League A, just the log in itself, I think this is a pretty good result. I mean, UCT will probably be the happier of the two going away from home. To Durbell, to pick up a result is always tough. Not a lot of teams are going to do that. A lot of teams are going to drop points there. But in the reverse of that is, Durbell will be kicking themselves because it's probably one that, yes, they started badly, but they probably could have squeaked it at the end.
Yeah. All right, your feeling on it, Ali, and then we close before we go to Villages False Bay.
Yeah, look, Durbell is still unbeaten, even though, with the draw. Yeah. But it's a good result for UCT. Top two gets home semi-final. I know it's early, but it's momentum.
All right, folks, when we come back from the break, Villages False Bay, we'll be taking a look at it. And just a little shout out for everybody that's watching the show. It's been so amazing again in the last couple of days, just walking around Cape Town, around, well, wherever we've been, social media, etc., and everybody just saying that they can't stop watching the show. They're watching every Wednesday night and just giving shout outs to everybody on the panel. But we'll talk more about that after the break. Don't go away.